Greetings and a good evening. Welcome back to the Atarangi. My name is Greg and today we're continuing our playthrough of Edith Finch. Or what remains of Edith Finch.
Today we're continuing our playthrough of Drowning, because your name is Greg. We're also continuing our playthrough of entering people's houses on Halloween. Without invitation.
Yes.
1st of October is not far away when this is releasing.
Probably not, no.
We'll be watching the 1st of October release on stream as usual. Well.
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet...
And yet, wait a segue for your start.
No.
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea.
It's your boy Gus.
Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard.
I'm gonna wanna collect the letters. As I was saying, we're gonna watch it, but as usual, no visuals will be on stream when we do that. Alright, go ahead, buddy. You have to follow the letters.
My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart. I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, we don't need a stepmom, were the words that
I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
There we are.
When the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined and as a sign held up his middle finger.
It's your boy Gus.
The wind picked up and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent.
Nice tent.
It's a pretty good tent.
The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made.
Nee.
The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power. But all my father said to this was, "Make the music louder!"
Fly into the tent.
I wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea and foam. But I didn't, until we found you.
Killed by a storm.
She never talked about
Killed
it.
by, I think, the thing
Mom
that
told
fell
me
over.
once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus.
Okay. Yeah, his kite's right there. See to the people?
No, it's too high up. Greg, be a baby. Do it. Greg's job is to be baby.
They actually had like military grades. Training, I guess.
My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died. At the time, it was as far away as she could get.
Right, so this is Dawn's area.
She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay.
I mean, she got away at some point. She just came back home.
Religion was another thing my mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died.
Yeah, for some people it does.
My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Louis was born a year later.
I'm gonna go out on him and say that that's not safe.
When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back. And to see kids in the house again.
Yeah, because I guess during that time Edie would have lived alone here.
Mm-hmm.
The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that. And for a while, things were good. Almost normal.
Like, with the amount of people who have died, I don't think you should expand upwards, because that gives them more room to fall. And die.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. They were homeschooled?
They're far away from town. Be a waste to go to school every day.
But it didn't last.
Homeschooling can be done well, so. But you need a parent that's always at home.
The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle.
I love Milton's castle.
After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings.
Okay. I mean, that's a nice view.
Yeah, Milton had one hell of a spot.
Mm-hmm. Airship?
He's one hell of an artist, eh?
Yeah.
He wasn't that old.
That's awesome.
I think Edie was happy to finally have another painter in the family.
Like, the kid wasn't old at all when he did all this. Like, look at his picture, that's how old he got. They gave him the coolest room in the house, though.
Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush.
It's his last project.
I'm on a disc! Hold on, I got a solution for this. Because I needed more disk space.
So this is a story of how Milton disappeared. And he's gone.
Okay.
I was 4 when Milton disappeared.
Mind you, as you can see, Kit was like 10 to 11 when he made all of this art.
Skilled. Extremely skilled.
Ooh, that bamboo is nice. That bamboo painting. On the floor, yeah.
Oh yeah. Damn.
He likes painting castles, doesn't he?
Mom
Makes sense
spent
why
months
you got
searching
a-
for my brother. Then she sealed the doors. Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
No one knows what happened to Milton, by the way. Some people think he got stuck in a
Mom
wall.
definitely blamed Edie, but I think Louis blamed himself.
Also, Louis has the coolest outside design. It's a
After he
boat on the
graduated,
roof.
he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery.
A man lives in a boat on the roof.
Everyone always told me to stay out of Louis's room. Except Louis.
Nice.
Bro, that's a pretty cool room, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, the stacks are cool as shit, but I don't think they're very safe to keep. I would probably get rid of the stacks. I would leave Milton's castle.
I would try to reinforce them.
Yeah, maybe. But I think it would be too expensive. I would definitely leave Milton's castle.
Louis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
Boy, I wonder what it smells like. Luna.
Yeah, this certainly doesn't say anything, huh?
Nah. Smells like video games.
Yeah.
He was so proud of being Indian. I think for him, it was a way to be something other than just a finch.
You like the vibe in
Oh, he's got a vibe.
Oh, this is the back of a boat. Okay, cool.
Louis and I spent a lot of time playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot.
Or maybe you were just really good.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life.
And I missed.
He kept working at the cannery. But he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to...
Are you playing on controller or keyboard and mouse?
Keyboard.
Start using what's
wander.
that? Yeah.
I asked him to describe it. He said he started small. imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about.
I know the vibe.
Then something moved. Bats. And toads.
To me, this one is the most powerful story.
And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself. But he found something more. I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery.
Y'all don't see much in job?
I spoke with his boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians.
I love how it's slowly expanding. I also love how I'm still cooking
And
fish.
songs for them to play.
It's very important to the story.
He talked about starting a band.
I'm just doing what I'm doing in life. Just keep her going,
He
bud.
was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger.
Like, especially with a job like this in the cannery, you just turn off your mind and start daydreaming whilst just doing the exact same movement over and over again.
Yeah.
Which is dangerous.
He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever.
Getting lost
Then one
in
day it
thought.
struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination. So he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him. He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville. St. Louis.
That's a real place.
He started drifting away from our reality.
He should have become an animator. Or storyteller in general.
Minneapolis. Until one day he forgot to go home
Minneapolis.
from the cannery.
I missed both times.
Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Lewis kept sailing on.
He just grew insane of doing the same job every day.
In Lewisburg, He heard rumors of a handsome queen. The queen was on her own quest for radiant rainbows.
I'm going with the positive stuff. Because, well, it looks like he was always...
He followed the sound of her.
It looks like he was like so far in thought and
Silver harp.
positive vibes in his head.
You're missing the music note.
His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound.
I'm afraid of just playing two games at the same time.
He knew the world was all in his imagination. But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king. For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Lewis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him.
I think he pulled the fish on himself.
He began to forget the world we know. I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker. He began to despise the man with a royal contempt. I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions.
All faceless.
That's because you can't imagine the faces. You can also only recycle.
Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on inviting him.
It's money.
His queen waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do.
The sure was.
Bend down his head. And the rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
Yep. You pulled a fish on
My brother
himself.
was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
I'm sorry I didn't say much during that, but that story is very real to me.
Same. I am always lost in thought.
I have not been far off being lost in thought of stepping in front of something myself. Multiple times.
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left.
It's like an entire kitchen up here.
This is our room.
My mom ended up leaving everything behind.
Edith and Dawn both
What happened that night has
lived
been
up
coming
here.
for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner.
So Edith's all the way up here, Dawn was one story down.
But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night.
And now we're about to write the book that we've been
That
reading.
whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
To our final night together, and all our final nights apart.
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
the power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance, or that Edie had a key to it.
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning, okay?
So she ended up staying here for a long while.
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life.
Yeah, when the water retreats far enough, it smells awful.
But I never thought I'd go back to it.
That's
When the
because there's
fog rolled in, I lost
anaerobic
my way.
reactions that happen that suddenly do get there. That's some thick fog.
I got turned around.
Rock and stone.
This could have technically happened. But I don't think it did.
I started seeing things. Things I'd forgotten had ever existed.
I love this game.
But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go! I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great-Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the van came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot.
I guess he drank a lot.
Hands flying. Do it properly.
We both tried to make the best of it.
There you go. That's how you do it.
A few years went by. My mom doesn't like to talk about it. But she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly. She got better for a while, and then she didn't.
That's usually how it goes.
And then I was alone. The last finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you and tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way. This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
Died in childbirth. Died in childbirth.
Yeah.
Great game.
Yosh.
Alright, some stuff to go over during the credits, because we like leaving the credits in now, don't we? They modeled out the house in The Sims. Yeah, for the first design of the house, they modeled it out in The Sims. as a tryout round.
Well, I guess that works.
Yeah. There's lots of
story-
pre-production.
I think the story is very interesting. I kind of expected Edith to not be around anymore. But yeah, it goes on to some good topics. And the way it handles them is pretty fun.
The Lewis segment is one of the most legendary segments in gaming.
I mean, you're playing two games at the same time.
You cannot tell Lewis's story properly, like where people feel what's going on, in any other medium than video games.
Yeah, and the same goes for Molly's story, you know?
Yeah, but Molly's story you can make work in a movie. If you really try.
So.
For Lewis, you have to feel the slow fade from doing the fish into not actually doing the fish anymore, but still like automatically doing them.
Yeah, just like having the hand movement down to just move your mouse left and right whilst just getting lost in thought. And you're right, like that's something that's pretty hard to get. Those of us who have experienced that IRL can know what it feels like, but I think a lot of people don't.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous feeling if you don't check yourself, because you do check out of reality. You kind of don't want reality anymore.
Yes.
Drunks.
You gotta at some point anchor yourself back into reality, which is hard.
Painful.
I
love that all of the pictures of the devs are childhood pictures.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
How many episodes is this Let's Play? 4? 5?
4.
Yeah, 4.
Maybe 5. I'm not sure how long that last episode is.
I don't think we're splitting it up.
But we'll see. No, I don't think it either. It's a great game.
Peaches, peach heads.
I personally don't expect a lot of views on this.
I mean, we don't get a lot of views on this channel, so...
We don't get a lot of views on this channel, so, you know, but I think at some point, if we ever grow, then I think a lot of people will go through this series, and... Because I think it's a good series to get to know us a bit. Even though we don't say much, I think our comments are...
Telling. Hector chances.
This type of game really brings that out. Neil Druckmann playtested it.
Do you know what that is? I don't.
I think isn't that the creative director for like The Last of Us?
It could be. Kowalski, check that.
I think so. I know the name.
In loving memory of Louis Finch.
Hey, we're on the fridge.
The Edith Finch team. With also the time period, the death time. Alright, that's it. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching.
Be safe out there.